Hi, everyone. Welcome to Covers and Pages podcast. My name is Rese, and Covers and Pages podcast is all about celebrating authors, bookstore owners, narrators that continue to empower and move this book space and make it go round and round. So I'm so excited about the guest that we have on today. She is my Mississippi sister. She is my HBCU sister. She is my Jackson State sister. So when I found out about her, I was like, yeah, I got to have her on. So let me just read her bio. Morenike is a native of Jackson, Mississippi. She graduated from Jackson State University with a bachelor in English. Her goal is to focus on African American fiction, poems, short stories, film, and TV shows that reflect the African American community and experience. She has written 4 adult novels and 1 children's book. You can find all of her work on Amazon under her pen name, Morenike. Everyone, welcome to Covers and Pages, Morenike. I love doing that. I love doing that. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. This is going to be a really good conversation. I'm so excited. Again, like I mentioned, we are from Mississippi. We graduated from Jackson State University. Go Tigers, one of the best HBCUs in
Okay,
the
the
country.
I love.
The I love. The I love. Now, I know I read your bio, it was beautiful, but tell everyone exactly who is Morenike. What are some things that people do not know about you?
So, a lot of people don't know that reading started my family. My parents met at a laundromat, and they were both just like waiting on their clothes, and they were both reading a book. And my dad like peered over his book, and I guess he saw my mom, and he started a discussion with her about the book she was reading. And so from there, they started dating and they got married. They started having children. And so reading has been a big part of my family from day one, from conception. My mama and daddy made sure we always had a book. My daddy was like, you always got to carry something with you to read, whether it be a newspaper, magazine, a book. Even if you just going to the bathroom, you need to have something to read. So reading has always been a big part of my life. And because of that, writing just came naturally because I'm always in these imaginary worlds. And I was like, I want to write about stuff too. So reading is a big part of my life. It always has been, and a lot of people don't know that. That's one of my big inspirations.
So, what has been just some challenges you have faced on your just being an author?
As far as being an author, challenges that I faced, I would say trying to figure out where I belong as far as my writing is concerned. When I first published, when I published my first book, I had a publisher, and I didn't understand the publishing world. I had a publisher, signed a contract, and then the company went under. And so they released everybody from their contracts. And then I signed with another publisher, and they wanted to put me under urban fiction, but I felt like I was literary fiction. And so that's what I felt like I had to write because that's what they placed me under. So it was, I guess, a struggle for me trying to figure out where does my writing land and who is my audience, because I went to school at Jackson State. I majored in English. I'm studying literary fiction. That's my passion, and that's what I want to write. So finally, after I got out of contract with that publisher, I was just like, forget it, I'm gonna go for it. And from there, I got into my literary fic bag, and I'm not trying to get out of it anytime soon.
Do you think they placed you under urban fiction just because you was black?
I really do. I don't feel like they had ever read anything like my book before because I wrote a story and it was called What Crazy Tastes Like, but it focused on mental health, and they changed the name to Taste of Insanity, and then the cover it gave urban fiction. So I just feel like they didn't know what to do with my work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it sound like it just sound like anything else just because of our skin tone that we belong in
Right.
one box, right?
Right. Like we
And
belong in one box and that's it.
right, and I tell people like black people read like I feel like we are the only race that reads a plethora of genres. You know
We
what I
do.
mean? Thrillers, historical fiction, horror
Mhm.
thrillers, urban fiction, literary fiction, right? And where compared to other people, they only stay with one and then that's it.
Yeah, they tend to stick to their race or fantasy because
Mm-hmm.
they'll get into stuff like fairies and vampires and stuff, and we read that stuff too. But we're willing to read anything, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes us special as readers.
Exactly. And I agree. And so let's talk about your children's book. What
Mhm.
made you want to write a children's book? I love that. I love going into bookstores, especially indie bookstores, and when they have like this beautiful little space carved out for children, I'm like, oh, I wish I had a baby sometimes. Sometimes. So I can be like, go and read.
Well, there were a couple of factors. As a child, we went to Walden's bookstore in the Metro Center
Mm-hmm.
maybe twice a week. Like we stayed in there, and they had their children's section, and so my family is very supportive, and so my novels are for adults. And at this point, I got a lot of little cousins running around, so I'm like, I got to do something for them. And then one day, an idea came to me for the name of a children's book series, and to name them Mel and Ann, which is shorthand for melanin. And I was like, okay, I gotta write a children's book then. So that's how that came about. Cause I'm like, I gotta do something for my little cousins, my family. They, they're all the adults read my books, but the kids need something to read too. So that was a factor as well.
I love that, and I love the name. Like that is so beautiful because kids, especially our black children, they need to see more books that
Right.
look like us. You know,
Yep. You need that
like yeah, you got the
representation.
Peppa Pig, exactly. You got the Peppa Pig, you got the Spider Man, you got all that. But I love just seeing just those type of books to just
Yep.
continue to empower children's mind. Because, like I say, I think I had said this on the previous podcast. You know, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it on the book. And guess what? We finna go open up all the books.
Right.
Every last one of them. I want to kind of back up a little bit and talk about your parents' journey.
hmm
I love that. When I tell you I wish that was mine, I'm just sitting here reading the book. Oh, what you read? Oh, you my husband now?
Oh my god, girl.
Do you feel like maybe one day that's gonna be your reality?
I don't know, cause I don't come across a lot of men that like read. Like I have homeboys who read, cause that's just the company I keep. But like I haven't come across a lot of men that are like one of my hobbies is reading. So that's another reason. Like whenever I come across an account and it's a black male on TikTok that's doing has a book talk account, I immediately follow because
Me
I'm
too.
interested in their perspective.
Me too.
I don't see it a lot,
Me
so
either.
they get an automatic follow from me.
Me too. I had this one guy. He was so fine. I said, "Oh, baby, I don't care what the book about. Follow." That man could have been talking about a comic book. I didn't
Oh
care.
my god.
Anywho. So, where do you think like some of your inspiration comes from, just with some of your previous books and just the books that you have coming soon?
I would say my inspirations are Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, Zora Neale Hurston, and even drawing back to like my undergrad and grad days. I dropped out of grad school, by the way, because it was just too much. But studying stuff like Chaucer and Shakespeare, it just made me look at the way I set up a story differently. So I draw inspiration from that as well, but my biggest inspiration is Toni Morrison. Like I love the way she writes. It's just crazy to me.
Have you read some of W.E.D. Du Bois books?
I have in undergrad, but I wouldn't be able to recall anything. You know how you read so much stuff, and then when
Mm-hmm.
somebody asks you to recall something, or if you've retained the information, I,
Right.
I've read it, but I wouldn't be able to recall anything.
Yeah. I want to touch on something that you said, Shakespeare. I remember in high school we had to read Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, honey. And
Hmm.
the one thing I love to tell people, I feel like Romeo and Juliet really set me up for reading, because that was like one story that I was just really intrigued
Hmm.
in, and it kept my interest going, all the other stuff we was reading, I was like, this shit boring, like
Yeah,
I don't know if I can keep this going.
yeah.
And
I
mhm,
I felt the same way when I first started reading Shakespeare and Chaucer. It wasn't until I met a specific professor at Jackson State. His last name was Niesman. And the way he taught Chaucer and Shakespeare just like opened my eyes, because he were related to real world things. And a lot
mhm,
of teachers don't do that when they're teaching Shakespeare and Chaucer. They just reading it and probably going
exactly.
what's on some cliff notes, but they not relating it to stuff that you could relate to at your age.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to you. But he taught it differently, and he gave me a new appreciation for it.
And that's the same how I felt when it came to Romeo and Juliet. My teacher at the time, I don't remember her name because,
Hmm.
yeah, that was in high school. I was just trying to finish. Now, college was a whole different story. I got my life together. Thank you, Jesus. But anyway, I felt that my I felt that my teacher, she really made the story relatable. And I really feel like that's one way that you can get kids into reading, if you make a story relatable
You have
to
to.
them. Like if you take what happened back then, but if you apply it now and just add your own little twist to it, like they're gonna be like, oh, this kind of cool. What the kids be saying, lit. This lit. I like this. It's all you gotta make it relatable.
Because I would go back to my old high school Provine, and I would talk to my old English teachers, because
Mm-hmm.
they would have to teach, a little Shakespeare or whatever. And I'm just like, you got to make it relatable. Like, what
Exactly.
if Shakespeare had a Facebook page? Have them set up a Facebook page on paper or something,
Mm.
and have them set it up the way they interpret Shakespeare would have it, or the characters would have their Facebook page set up with quotes and pictures and statuses and stuff like that. You just gotta make it
Hashtags,
relatable
right.
to them, and they'll be able
Exactly.
to grasp the concept better.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one thing that I really do love about the book talk space. Well, the book space in general. Book talk, bookstagram, booktube, whatever. Like a lot of stuff is like it's relatable. Like especially like a lot of books, going through just like real life situations and family situations, relationship, whatever. Like it's all relatable, and that's why my Kindle stayed full, and I have a never ending TBR list, because once I read the back of a book, I'm like, oh, that sounds like something I went through. I'm gonna put it on my TBR, and girl, don't ever get to it. Now, let's transition into Girl Child. So, what was the inspiration behind it?
So the inspiration behind Girl Child is crazy. One day I was just randomly thinking, like, we used to have all these TV shows as kids, like positive TV shows. And I was like, what happened to some of those shows? And Gullah Gullah Island came to mind. So I'm looking
Come
at,
on, Gullah Gullah. I'm
girl,
sorry. When I tell you I was a Gullah Gullah Island girl,
that was my
did you
show.
did you see on TikTok a couple of weeks ago that they post a Gullah Gullah Island, like I'm gonna send it to you.
The
I'm gonna
family
send it
is
to you.
bringing it back based on their life.
Yes, yes, and I was so happy to see that.
Yes, like I was like, what happened to that show? Because it was on air and then it wasn't. Like, what happened to it? So I look it up on YouTube, and the father's TED talk popped up. I think his name is Ronald Days. His TED talk popped up, and I was like, Gullah is real. That's a real culture. So I just did like a deep dive into Gullah culture. And then a couple of nights later, I had a dream about one of the characters because I feel like God brings me a lot of ideas in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought to me a scene in the book that I was going to write about one of the characters. And I was like, I got it. And from there, it just took off.
Oh my God, I love that. And I see people reviewing it on my TikTok, and the reviews have been nothing but positive.
Yeah, and it's been really good to see the reviews because I had imposter syndrome the whole time I was writing that book. And I still have a little bit of it now that people are like, digesting it. Because I always feel like is the story good enough? Are people gonna connect with it? Like how are people gonna feel about it? But it's been a lot of positive feedback and it's really helping with my imposter syndrome.
I love that for
Right.
you. Now I have to ask this question. How do you
Mhm.
deal with just some bad reviews or people just kind of telling you, oh, this isn't realistic. I didn't really relate to it. So how do you deal with those type of
So
negative reviews?
bad reviews, you try not to read them, but if you come across them, I just try to take it as, take the criticism as is and see it as an opportunity. I weigh whether or not it's an opportunity for something for me to work on. Because a lot of the time you already in your head about the book or certain things. And if somebody points it out in a bad review, it kind of validates what you already knew, possibly. Sometimes, not all the time. And so you just have to ask yourself, is this an opportunity that I can work on? And you just take it with a grain of salt. I can't let those things weigh me down and deter me from, continuing to work on my craft. I just have to use the criticism as positive fuel to keep going.
I love that because some people can. I feel like with certain books, I feel like people just leave negative reviews just to leave negative reviews. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, did you even read the book? Like, did you even comprehend? Like, did you open it up and just did you read the prologue? Like,
Yeah,
you
because
gonna
on
start right there.
Goodreads, they ruthless on Goodreads.
Ooh, girl,
I
don't
try to
even
be
get me
mindful when I'm
started on Goodreads.
right, because I'm a reader too, and so I try to be mindful when I'm doing reviews. I don't, I especially when I'm doing ratings, like I try to be mindful. But on Goodreads, they will read you for filth,
They would tear
and,
you up.
and sometimes it's like, did you read the book or do you just hate the author? Like, what's going on?
Oh my God. Because I feel like with every Frida McFadden book that she drops, they are ripping my good sis to pieces. And I'm just like, do
And it's
y'all
crazy.
just,
I just got into her this year. I read the hand. That was my first Frida McFadden book was The Handmaid.
okay.
And so I'm like, okay, this is a good book. Then I found out it's being made into a movie. And then I read a novella of hers, a satirical novella that she wrote. And then I
Was it
just got,
recent? Did she just drop it?
yeah, and then she just dropped the short story.
The housemaid wedding. Was that book on a widow's husband's secret life?
Yes, I read that. But then it's like, you know how you think you got an FBI agent listening on your phone? My algorithm started changing on TikTok and it was just like Frida McFadden haters. And I was like, what she do to y'all? Like, what did she do? I don't know what she did.
Girl, she did something to them people, but I'm just like, my good sis, I really do think like she be messing with her readers. And what people don't know is Frida is I think she's a
And
medical doctor.
she is. I read that she's a
Yeah,
doctor. I don't know if she like a
she's she
psychiatrist
like study she
or a neuro.
studies the brain.
I think she a neurosurgeon or something.
Yes. Yes. And I was like, that makes so much sense and why her
Yeah.
books are so unhinged.
Yeah.
But we gonna pause with Frida because I got a question about Girl Child that I want you to answer. What
Mhm.
was the inspiration behind the beautiful cover?
So there's a scene in the book. I don't want to necessarily give it away, but they are at the water, um, and birth is given near the water. And so I wanted the designer to recreate that, and he gave me like four different options. They were all beautiful, but the cover that I have now, that baby just
It's
gorgeous.
beautiful. Yes, it is beautiful. If you are watching on YouTube, I currently have it up so you can see it. But if you are listening, go find the cover and look because it is a beautiful cover. When I saw it, I was like, wow, I never seen anything like this. The colors, I mean, just beautiful. Like you did a good job
Thank
with that
you.
cover.
He
Yes, I
killed it because
love
cause
it.
I told him what I wanted, and I was like, he not gonna be able to do this. Maybe I'm giving him like too much, but he killed it, and I was like, yes, this baby, the water, everything, it's just beautiful.
Have you ever like has it ever gotten to the point where you was like, I think I want to give up writing. I don't think I want to do this anymore.
No, it hasn't. If I don't force myself to write, if I'm not inspired or nothing is coming to me, like I just don't write. I just read or I binge watch TV shows because I want to work on a script one day and try to like get inspiration for that. But I've never wanted to give up because I feel so good when I'm writing. I love the space I'm in, the head space I'm in when I'm writing. So I've never wanted to give up on it.
And that's one thing that I absolutely love about being in this book space. It don't really matter like what you're going through. You
Hmm.
can just pick up a book and you can just escape from
Right.
any problems that you have, any world issues. I know a couple weeks ago when we had the election,
Hmm.
I just turned my phone off and just grabbed my Kindle and I just escaped because I was like, I can't. I mean, there's nothing that we can do, unfortunately.
Right.
And that was motivation for me to just download more books and to
Hmm.
read more books.
Yeah, because my anxiety was really bad election night.
I think
I
all of
had,
our anxiety was
I had to
bad.
go get a drink, and then the next morning I woke up, I saw the results, I cried all day. My anxiety was bad that whole week. I was just like, really? And I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be online.
Hmm.
So I did the same thing basically. I just dived into a book because I mean, what else can I do? But
Exactly.
yeah, I didn't.
Exactly. Okay, so let me ask you this question. When you see all of this drama happening on Book Talk, Bookstagram, what do you say? Because when I tell you, I just be like, maybe scroll, because I ain't got time.
I keep scrolling because I'm newer to Book Talk. I think I got into Book Talk like earlier this year. Like it just popped up on my For You page. And I was like, wait, it's a book community on TikTok? Because originally I was just on TikTok looking at funny videos and looking at recipes. Because I didn't know like it was gonna branch out to so much different stuff. I feel like every corner of TikTok has some type of drama. The influencers argue about stuff. The Mormon moms, they got a reality TV show out of they drama.
Girl, when I tell you that's drama,
So I'm just like
and I'm not gonna lie.
every
Well,
corner
I
of
ain't gonna
TikTok
lie.
has some type of drama.
When the Mormons argue, I be all in it. 'Cause
I said the Mormons doing what?
exactly. I'm like, what?
Okay.
Girl, they be arguing, and I'm like, okay,
Girl.
well,
So I
and then
keep
I go down a rabbit hole.
I keep scrolling because every corner of TikTok has drama. So Book Talk is not immune to it. And some of it's just clickbait. some people want the views and the likes and the followers, and it's clickbait. Because stuff like telling somebody that an audiobook isn't a book, why not? I'm listening to somebody read me a book.
Sis, that's a whole, when I tell you that's a whole nother podcast. I'm
And I
going
don't
to
even
say
listen
this.
to audiobooks, but I feel where people are coming from. Like, you can't tell me that's not a book. I'm ingesting that information.
I had a narrator on the show. His name is Lawrence Baldwin. Hello, Lawrence. Shout out to you. We talked about that, and I told him I do not like to see or hear that when people say audiobooks aren't books, because y'all are taking away and discrediting the narrators.
Exactly.
When I tell you, I have seen narrators like behind the scenes, like narrate a book, baby, I can't do it
I've
because
seen
the
them
way they
live.
change their
Yeah.
voices, it is like Lawrence did a snippet for me,
Uh huh.
like on the show, and when I was like, friend, not only do you sound good, but you sound good in your woman's voice. So I just hate to see that, and I'm like, y'all just enjoy y'all's books. Like, if you
Right.
don't like listening to audiobooks, just don't listen to them.
And then
But
if
as
it's
in
not
me and my household, we gonna listen to an audiobook. Period.
exactly. And then if it's not that, it's people policing how many books you're reading a month.
Girl, that's a oh girl.
You can't tell somebody how many books they read. This is not when you were a child and you remember the libraries had a summer reading
Girl,
program.
the AR test.
And you be like, yeah, I read 100 books already. No, you didn't. But now that we're adults, like, come on now. I've
Right.
literally I've read maybe 6 books this month, and that's not a lot compared to what some other people.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's based on their lifestyle and what they do with their time. You can't tell somebody how many books just because you're a slow reader. Don't mean
Exactly.
everybody else is.
Hey, girl. Hello. Hello. Okay. It gets on my nerves. I saw something about it last night. Honey, I just scrolled up. I'm like, girl, I ain't got time for you. And then on top of all that, when they get all this backlash, they have the audacity to delete the video. No, keep it up.
No, keep that same energy. Keep that video because you meant that.
Keep it up. Exactly. Girl, I'm definitely gonna bring you back because we have a lot of more stuff to chit chat about. So before we wrap up, what is next for you?
So I have decided that I want to write a fantasy book next. It still be based on black characters because that's what I write, but I want to test the fantasy waters. So I'm working on like the outline and in the research phase of it, and then I'll step away from it for like maybe 6 months so that I just clear my head and let the characters sit with me, and then I'm gonna start writing it. But that's what's next for me. And then one day, I keep saying one day, I want to write a TV script. I just gotta sit down and get into it, like, cause I don't know the formatting of a TV script. I have to teach myself, but that's something that I really want to work on. Like, that's a big dream of mine. But first, I'm gonna do the fantasy book.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Yay! Yes, yes, yes. Please give everyone your socials before we close out.
Okay, so my bookstagram is written by Morenike. That's WRITTENBY Morenike. MORENIKE. I do post over there, but let's be honest, book talk is better. I'm sorry I said it. On book talk, I am exated, XATED underscore Morenike, and that's MORENIKE. And I know a lot of people are like, what does that mean? Excited was something I started when I first got on Twitter, and it meant X-rated. It meant I'm gonna say what I want to say and I'm gonna do what I want to do. So that's just been my name since I've been on social media. My website is writtenbymorenike.wordpress.com. And if you need to email me, it is authormorenike@gmail.
Please go and support my good sis. She's doing beautiful things in the world, and I love it. I love it. Support, 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 like I always say in all of my podcasts. Is there anything else you want to just add in before we say goodbye?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on, and I want to thank everybody in advance if they decide to purchase. I do have other books online as well that you can check out, and I appreciate everybody's support.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you all for listening and watching Covers and Pages podcast. This was a great conversation. Definitely will be bringing you back because we got some conversations. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. Thank you all, and I will chat with you all in another podcast. Bye.